Hello, boys. How are you? How are you doing?
Not bad. Not bad yourself.
Very well. I'm Jamie Rogers. This is episode 2 of the Alt Vaults podcast.
Mm.
Who would have known?
Who'd have thought we'd have made it all the way to episode 2?
The band hasn't broken up yet.
That voice that you can hear is Mr. Sam Hampton that we're joined with today. How are you, mate?
Dropping my full Gubby on the internet, are we? Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm very well.
Is there
Just
anything that
completely
you...
doxing Sam there.
Sorry, Sam. You got full named. And Gibby joins us again
There you
for...
go. Full name.
Full name.
Full name.
I've learned from the first one. Well, we just finished. I say just finished. It's been like a month, but the Enter Shikari tour has wrapped, and we're going to talk about it. How was it for you guys?
Expensive.
Well, that is one of the things that's been punishing the old bank balance.
I do want to clarify that it is worth it.
Oh, absolutely, but it's something that not everyone gets the chance to do, and I think we've been very lucky to do it. So we're going to talk about following a band around a tour and the logistics of that, because I did it in my car, but every one of us came to Leeds for that first show date from different places and have different ways of getting around. So
people from the other side of Europe came for that gig.
It's crazy when you are passionate and you like something, what you're willing to do to make it happen. But for us three personally, Sam, you live in, we're saying London?
We'll say Hertfordshire. That's fine. I'm comfortable with Hertfordshire. You don't have to give them my full address this time.
Jamie's determined to dox you in this episode.
Yeah.
Just narrowing it
If you
down.
just phonetically spell out your national insurance number, that would be great.
But yeah, I got to Leeds. Obviously I got a lift off of Georgie and Shane coming from the same place as me. But then I got to Manchester by myself. That was just on the train.
Very proud of you for that, Sam, getting to Manchester base.
It's actually surprisingly easy.
You just kind of turned up.
Yeah, I do that, to be honest. I just kind of appear.
Uninvited.
Who invited him? Okay.
That first lead show was something that we'd had planned for quite a while, wasn't it? Because obviously when tickets went on sale and we saw that it was in Leeds, first night of the tour on a Friday night, and we thought this is just probably the best opportunity that we've got as a group of friends. And there was 11, 12 of us. And
it was so fun to have everyone at that first one from so many parts of the country, because of course we went into it not knowing what any of the songs would be. First night of a brand new tour is always exciting in that regard. But then we also just had a kind of like mammoth mini house party, really, and it was just the perfect way to start such a fun week. So
that was so much fun. And then obviously because we've got the vlog coming quite soon, hopefully in the next few weeks. Shameless plug there. But going back over all that footage, especially as you just said, of the pre-show stuff, it was basically a house party from 2009, and it was just one of the most fun nights I've had in a long time.
How was your drive up, Sam, road trip wise, with Georgie and Shane?
Well, I mean, I say I drove up, but I kind of teleported, because from after the first sort of stop we had, I just fell asleep for the most of the journey, and then when I woke up, it was normally to Shane and Georgie arguing. So I just generally stirred the pot a little bit, started siding with one person, then I started siding with the other person. So I made the most of the trip up, but I can't speak for Georgie and Shane. I know it was a bit of a shit drive, but
in terms of the driving element, that was it was a fear for me. I mean, I had to go from Leeds to Nottingham. Wasn't the longest part of that drive, but we had a lot of to drink in Leeds, and I was like, this is not going to be a fun drive tomorrow. But it was so good to have that first night, and of course it was one of the things that a lot of people say to me is we did all those dates. I mean, you guys did multiple dates of it too, despite the fact that neither of you drive.
I mean, fortunately, Manchester's only down the road from me. It's a half-hour train away, so it's not too bad. But it's not like a local.
And I'm not a coward when it comes to public transport. I will get if there is a way to get myself somewhere, I will get there. Especially,
we
especially if I've managed to secure a guest list ticket off of the back of losing my hat.
Let's not start any more arguments over that hat. If you want context about that, then watch the vlog.
we had different ways of getting around to different dates, and of course it was train for yourselves, but mine was car, and all I had to think about was how much fuel is this trip going to cost. And like, the price of fuel is one thing, that we could talk about all day, but surely it must be harder for yourselves, like when you're planning something like going around the country by public transport with all of the strikes. What do you kind of suggest is like the best advice when you're looking into like how to save money with that?
I mean, saving money, your probably best bet is the coach, but I choose to get the train because trains are really comfy, and not that coaches aren't, but like sometimes, especially if it's a long journey, the train is just so much better. It's quicker. Okay, there's strikes and there's quite a lot of delays sometimes and stuff, but if there's an issue, you can just get off at another stop. If a coach gets stuck in traffic on the M6 or something, you're stuck in traffic. If there's a problem with a train at the station, they'll just say, right, get off this train at this station and jump on whatever else.
I guess when the trains go down, it's a rail replacement bus. So if you're planning the train anyway, it's kind of a fail safe. So in terms of like that traveling hell, do you notice, especially obviously you've got London, Sam, but Liverpool, any difference in terms of like price, like going between the two? Is it like, do you have that north south kind of
It's
divide?
very variable, I'll be honest. I think it really does depend on when you book. I've done both because I think the last Shikari tour, for when kind of all the lockdown ended and they finally did the tour for the previous album, I did quite a lot of them by car, and then I've done quite a lot of these ones by train. And when it comes to buying train tickets, I think the best thing to do is generally to buy it not well in advance, because sometimes you can end up paying over the odds, but buying it a day or two in advance is generally the
Ooh.
best one, because that's when they're on their lower ticket end, and that's when they tend to sell them for the cheapest.
I kind of like the opposite of Sam there. It's more for my own peace of mind, really. You're probably right, Sam. It probably costs me a bit more, but just for my own peace of mind, I know that, right, okay, if I'm going to a gig in Leeds in 3 weeks, I know that everything's sorted.
It is interesting, like when you have a gig announced, do you go straight for the hotel? Do you go straight for the train, or do
Depends when
you
it is.
go for the ticket first? Because
Hotel.
obviously
Yeah, I think
booking travel's great, but if you don't have a ticket to get in,
with the London Shikari date, I wasn't able to get tickets when they were released, and GA sold out ridiculously quickly. And it was only sort of in the nosebleeds that were available, and I got my ticket to go see that show. Full well, no, telling everybody that I was going to that show. I bought my ticket at 11 p.m. the night before the show off of Tickets. So, yeah, you can. The ticket sometimes is a priority, but yeah, if you need someone to stay, I'd say generally that's probably a priority, because you can figure out a way.
yeah, I mean, I personally would freak if suddenly the really expensive show was like tiny in comparison to not having a like place to stay. But sometimes like you do get by with a little help from your friends, and like it was very, it's tough to talk about following a tour, or doing anything that's a little bit out of the ordinary without going into the fact that you're going to need money for it. And
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of the biggest like question of why would you do that, which is something we'll come on to in a bit, it does cost money, and not everyone can do it. But do you recommend that they should? I mean, I've just talked recently with Gibby about the kind of reasons why people would follow a band, because obviously we saw the same band, like it's the same support bands doing the same support songs, but people always ask, why would you go to the same show over and over again? I mean, I don't know what your answer is to that.
For me, it depends on the band, really. And this is why I will follow Shikari on tour every time they come round. Is not only do I love the music and they're my favorite band, but every single show has something different. Like every single, especially on this run of shows where it's like, Rao's getting into the crowd, or he's jumping, he's getting into the seating area, or he's whatever, or the band are playing on a stage at the back of the audience and stuff. Like everything, even if the set is exactly the same every single time, even if the stage show and the graphics and the lights are exactly the same, the atmosphere and the vibe and the things that the band do make each show different.
If you came to the London Wembley show, you got to see Sam Ryder
Yeah,
randomly playing Satellites with Shikari, which was insane
mad.
I am jealous
and
about that, but
very, very unexpected. I think there's definitely different aspects that you can get from going to different shows across all the different tours. You get to see all these different people, all of my different friends that I've met
Yeah.
at all these shows across
Yeah.
the country.
that's the other thing as
And
well. Like going to different shows, like the amount of people, even just doing different shows on this tour. We'll go to a gig together, and then we'll be stood by the bar, and then someone will bump into you, Sam, or you, Jamie, and then they'll go, "Oh, you'll go, this is my friend so and so," and then all of a sudden it's like we're hanging around with them the rest of the night, and then we'll add each other on Instagram or something, and it's like then I've got a new friend, and it's just you're building out your community all the time by opening yourself up to these different opportunities.
It was crazy to me, coming from Bournemouth and driving all the way to Scotland, which the breadth of the country, be it was amazing to see the sights. I mean, the one thing
They
that was
did play
great
that.
for me is there was different songs in different places, which is obviously great if you have that ability and that skill, because like people forget, it's not just a case of play whatever song you want. Like they may not have tuned it, they may not have rehearsed it, the lighting is not always going to be right, or the production, and the production on this was mad. So for bands to just be able to mix up and play other songs, first of all, it's like a huge thing, but when you see it at your show and it's not happened at every other show, you do feel like it was a bit of a treat for you. And for me, it's just seeing so many friendly faces in different places that you don't necessarily expect. But Edinburgh, like the crowds in Scotland are just off the chart. Like the sound, and I think maybe it's a smaller room, but Scottish crowds are like nothing else.
I think the crowd interactions are also something that people don't always necessarily appreciate after they've been to a gig, but actually makes a massive difference.
And also, what for me was great, like pointing out the traveling to and from, like by train, you get to sit back and really enjoy it, right? I was almost at times unsafe on the road, taking in some of the scenery on the way up, like getting to see Edinburgh the day before, because it was the Super Bowl final the day before, and that was on one of the days where there was no shows, and there was then a day off after Edinburgh as well. It just, when you're following a tour like that intensely, it gives you the ability to see places that the band necessarily don't get time to see, because whenever we tour the country, we're not just doing the show and getting out of there. Like we're seeing the places that we go to. And
when I went to Manchester,
band checks in at like 10 a.m. for sound check. We get to actually see the places and explore a bit. Like,
I mean, I just saw the inside of a hotel room when I went to Manchester, and then the venue. But yeah, for the most part, it depends. I suppose it depends how committed you are. I suppose that's one of the benefits of driving as opposed to getting the train.
How do you treat when you're on when you're going around on tour and stuff? See, for me, when we did 2 nights in Manchester back to back, and we stayed in the hotel and whatever, and we kind of made a trip of it. That to me was like being on holiday. And I know it's only in Manchester, and it's not, like Algarve or whatever. You're staying in a hotel with friends. You've got activities to do and stuff, and you're socializing. And to me, I was in that mindset of, I'm on holiday, so I'm going to have a drink. And then after the shows, it was like, I'm on holiday. Satan's is around the corner. They're having an after party. I want to go and have a drink and a dance. Do you ever feel like that pressure, not having a drink, but kind of being a bit more loose, like it is like a holiday, rather than just being like a gig? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, Sam only saw the inside of the hotel, but I think for me, if someone says, "How was Nottingham," for instance, and I go, "Yeah, it was great. Like, got to the arena just before they came on, and then drove out of there." It's like you haven't seen Nottingham, really. You've seen the inside of the arena, and like it can be tiring, but like I want to say personally, Yeah, Nottingham was great. They've got trams. Didn't know they had that. Like, took a tram to the show, and it's like, okay, all I've done is head to the show, but it's like I've seen at least something. Do you know what I mean? Like, rather than, because you can tour in very different ways. I mean, we had the pleasure of seeing all three support bands, but we did miss them in Leeds.
Yeah.
Like, we've gone in at different times. We've stood in different places. We've had, different things about each place that you can go. Even if the show is exactly the same, you're like, oh, that's the time where, and I don't understand the stigma that is attached to doing multiple dates of a tour and seeing the same band, because everyone that has a season ticket will get all of the games at that stadium at home, and then they will also have the option, I assume, to travel to the away games.
Different clubs work it in different ways, but yeah.
But it's going to be a different game each time, and in a different place. If you are lucky enough to follow a football team around, you are going to be seeing it's very similar kind of, that drinking culture, but you're also going to be seeing a lot of different places. And I don't really see how it's different following a tour round to watching or following a football team, because I know when I see a band constantly over multiple dates, I know what the set list is going to be, kinda, but then I also am really surprised when it changes. There's, that excitement of, oh, this is different today, or you just enjoy it a bit more. But it's something that I think is the same in my head, and I don't know if you think there's a comparison there in terms of, like, when people have actually heard, oh, you saw the same band 3 times in a week. Why?
Like you've seen them over 200 times. I'm about to see them for the 30th time. How many of those shows can you point to a thing and go, that happened at that gig?
Every show, dude. Well, ultimately, we are going to Dublin for a couple of days, so it is going to be, again, 2 shows in the same place.
It's 4 days before we go to Dublin we're recording this. The flight is at like 5:45 in the morning, and I've been saying that to people, and they're like, oh my God, like, what? Why would you put yourself through that? And it goes back to what we've been saying. It's like, I know that I'm going to be knackered when I get to Dublin, but I'm going to try my best to sleep in the airport and kind of catch up a bit, whatever. But once I'm in Dublin, that's like, I'm genuinely then on holiday. Now, whether that's in Dublin or Manchester, I don't care.
Well, everyone's got a different thing, and if you like live music and your friends like live music and they want to see the world and live music in those places with you, it's so amazing. We had people from Ukraine, Russia. I mean, the 2 Stacys together. We had people coming over from America. Yeah, I know. And yet, when you see people that make that journey, it does make the show more worthwhile. Especially when there's been a bit of a pilgrimage to get there. Well, I'm excited for Dublin. It's going to be very, very fun. I'm half Irish.
I'm a quarter Irish.
Sam, have you got any Irish in you?
No, but I could potentially have some. No, and that was a terrible. No, I'm not going to say that joke.
Awful.
Yeah.
If you'd like to see the chaos that we get up to, check out our vlog that's coming, hopefully within the next few weeks.
It's the best video we've ever made.
It's the biggest. It's the biggest and best video we've ever done, and I say that as the guy who's editing the video. But it is going to be like a film. I'm essentially making a film.
Is it the greatest video you've ever done, or is it just a tribute?
Thank you to everybody for listening to us just chatting absolute wham for a little bit. If you are listening to this on Spotify, don't forget you can go over to YouTube, where the highlights of this is going to be uploaded. If you are watching this on YouTube, then make sure to check out us on Spotify when you can listen to the full version of this. Go and follow all the links to all our socials. We're on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, everything else. And if you like this, then click subscribe. Right, let's go to bed.
Yeah. And when we say bed, we mean we're all going to jump on Fortnite. So check that out, because that's in a video coming soon when I finally download it off my PlayStation.
Hi everyone, hope you enjoyed that video. Thank you very much for watching all the way to the end. If you want to see something similar to this, then you can click on the link here. If you want to see something very different to this, then you can click on the link here. And if you haven't subscribed already and you want to, you can click on the link here. If you want to come and follow us on social media, you can click on the links in the description down below. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.